Welcome back. We've seen rugby taking priority when football matches were supposed to be played. Mamelodi Sundowns had to move and go and play Lucas Masterpieces Moripe. We've also now seen recently Stellenbosch. It's a topic that we've touched on before. But gentlemen, I just want us to have a proper chat on this one because we've seen Stellenbosch going to play Moses Mabhida. Yes, it was an away game, but that's where their home is going to be. Does it still give them an advantage? Is it something that Stellenbosch rather should be concerned about and worried?
Look, I think for me, and this is an indictment on Western Province, Union having moved over from Newlands to now Cape Town Stadium. That's a stadium that was built for football. That's a stadium that tax money was spent to be able to accommodate football. But now rugby is now taking precedent, which then means from a city's perspective, from a provincial perspective, what will be prioritized is rugby. Look, when it comes to Sundowns, because there's a relationship there that you understand, but when you look at Cape Town, now you're having Stellenbosch that's having to go all the way to Durban to be able to play in a stadium that was built for the World Cup to be able to accommodate the World Cup. We were told that stadium teams in Cape Town will never have to move again because of rugby. Where are we now? They are now moving to be able to say, you can't play there because of the Springboks are coming, or it will be soon because the rugby season, when it starts, it will be Western Provinces coming to play. Again, football is being disadvantaged in a stadium that tax money was used to do what? To build a football stadium, and now it's been used for other things.
Be that as it may, we saw Stellenbosch taking advantage of their new setup. Can we read a lot into that and say maybe they can go on further than we anticipated in this tournament?
Well, look, they don't have an option. Mabhida is the stadium that they can utilize at this point in time, but surely they would have loved to play in Cape Town, where their supporters will not really pay much to travel to the stadium and go and watch the game. So, look, the situation now permits that they're there. But as Mpo said, I mean, for football, football always take second precedence. It's a stepchild in this country. And more so now, being pushed away from the Cape Town Stadium. You've got 3 teams that are playing in the elite league in that province. They should be prioritizing that stadium for football.
Stellenbosch, let's stick with them. They're losing players. This exodus that we might be seeing from, they're also trying to recruit, but Spurs is saying no. Will this affect them? Is this something that's going to take into consideration that they're playing more football than all the others in a short space of time?
Look, I think the beauty of Stellenbosch is that when you look at their development structure, if you go DDC team, plays like the senior team. If you look at the under-19s, they are the ones that are the champions of the Engine Cup, all the development trophies that they're there. So there's a very clear development structure in terms of what Stellenbosch is doing. So they can plug and play. The only thing that the youngsters that will be coming to be able to do, they will be lacking the experience. But in terms of their systems, they will be able to know. But it is one of those that if you want to be able to compete, because you ended up at number 3, surely you want to compete for the league. Surely you want to compete for Nedbank. That experience is going to come up against you because you are selling your best priced assets.
But Paul, let me stick with you. Let's talk about their periodization, because they're playing, if you look at their fixtures, they still have to play in the MTN Cup. They're going to be still playing in the second leg. Does that give them enough recovery time in terms of the whole traveling up and down?
I think Stellenbosch at this, yes, from a CAF perspective, CAF is giving them financial compensation in terms of being, but it's taxing because you have to, you're not saying, we can start the recuperation period, you can start periodization, you can start rehab. You now have to travel, which is another day on the road.
Absolutely.
And be able to say, we're going back to Cape Town.
Absolutely.
So just like everybody else, using the stadium for the first time, you might just well be the away team. So all these things, all these small things, for me, they count against them. But the good thing is that Stellenbosch has been a team that's been able to rely on systems and been able to play well with those.
Can we say advantage to teams such as Orlando Pirates, who are not new to this competition, but they also find themselves stable in a sense of they have a home, they know where they play? Does that give them an advantage? Would we say the league is giving them more of an advantage when you look at the overall?
No, look, they do have advantage. They are comfortable. The environment that they're playing in, they're used to. And if you look at the Pirates team, maybe versus Stellenbosch, you look at the squad depth. Yes, I hear Mpo speaks about the system and all that, but you still need players. You also need, a team that can be able to, if you've got injuries tomorrow, you are able to have a player that can play. We heard that the defender Torre is not training with the full team, with the first team. So that on its own, it means that there's one man down in that defense. And they've never been tested in that defense. They've never really thrown a youngsters in that defense. We will see how they will respond.
And Orlando Pirates, them having more players that are being absorbed into the national team due to their better performance that they've put out, they want to go now and play for the MTN 8 and win it, make history and win it for the 3 times in a row. Should the focus then be on the MTN 8, or do we then, to set the record, or do we then say, let's focus on the bigger fish, which is everything else that everybody has wanted in a long time?
Look, I think from an Orlando Pirates perspective, a lot of their interviews, you've heard a lot of players, the coaching team speak about now it's the season that they must go for the league. And one of the things that you're going to be able to do to win the league, you're going to need to be consistent over a long period of time. But don't look too far ahead, because you may be stumbling yourself over here. So what you need them to be able to do, play each game on merit. Give it what it's supposed to be able to get, so that you don't say, I'm managing this one, because last season they managed the game against Sundowns and then ended up losing in the Champions League. But for them to be able to move forward, play each game as it comes, and you will be able to then be able to move forward. But playing for Bafana, ask Sundowns how many players may come back injured because of playing for Bafana. So those are, you've done well to get them to play for Bafana. There's also the risk of them coming back injured.
Well, that's the risk that Orlando Pirates will have to take. Mahaito, thank you very much for taking your time. And, listening to the Fundis, the disciples. We hope to see you again next week. Make sure you check out and make sure you do subscribe. I never rock.